President Putin has dismissed claims that Donald Trump revealed highly sensitive information to Russia's foreign minister as political schizophrenia and says he's prepared to prove they're not true.
We're seeing political schizophrenia developing in the US. I see no other reason for the accusations of Trump revealing any secrets to Sergey Lavrov. If the American administration agrees, we're ready to provide the transcript of Lavrov and Trump's talks to the US Senate and Congress.
Well, it's already been about a week since Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov and U.S. President Donald Trump met, but the story of their meeting keeps on making the headlines. Now, despite the fact that the two officials spoke about potential cooperation in the fight against terrorism, everyone else seems to be interested in what else could have gone on in the White House. Now, this latest scandal is that President Trump allegedly leaked some kind of a sensitive information to the Russian foreign minister, but there were no solid facts, no proof about that, except for some accounts of unnamed sources of current and former U.S. officials. Now, despite the fact that the Trump administration spent quite a lot of time rebutting those statements, journalists keep on seizing every single opportunity to ask him about what went on in the White House, be that during his meeting with the Turkish President Erdogan, or today's meeting between Vladimir Putin and the Italian Prime Minister. Now, today's question to Vladimir Putin was, it seemed to have put the Russian president in a joking mood. Let's have a listen.
I'll have to take him to task because he didn't share those secrets with us. Not with me, nor with the intelligence officials. This was quite bad on his part.
However, on a more serious note, the rumors of the alleged leak are still out there. However, Russia is ready to provide all the information necessary in regards to that meeting.
So that's the gauntlet thrown then. Let's see how that's going down on the other side of the Atlantic. RT America host Ed Schultz is with us. Ed, good to see you again. What shape is this political schizophrenia, as Putin calls it, taking in the US right now?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt, Colin, that the President of the United States is now in some pretty shaky legal territory. The latest ramification to come out of the White House is that the President had a secret conversation with the former FBI Director, James Comey, and allegedly tried to influence the investigation of General Michael Flynn. If this is the case, the President is going to be in some serious trouble, and it's going to have some political ramifications as well. I think as far as the sharing of information, if there was any, with Russian diplomats, I think the President has weathered that storm. His national security advisor, Mr. McMaster, who has got extensive credibility on Capitol Hill with other Republicans, came out and defended the President. I think he weathered that storm. But this new story that has now popped up overnight, that, of course, there is a memo that has been produced by former Director Comey, is going to be real trouble for the President. There's no question about it.
And how much more can he put up with, though? How much more pressure? Because the scandal deflection unit in the White House must be working overtime.
They really are, and this is the key question. When you talk about the meeting between Comey and the President in his Oval Office, there's a couple of things that we got to make sure we understand. Trump asked people to leave the room so he could meet privately with Comey. So why did he do that? Did he do that because he knew he was going to do something that maybe wasn't legally advisable? And why did Comey write a memo? Comey may have written a memo because he knew there would not be a recording of that conversation. So the word intent really comes into play here legally right now. And this is territory that none of the Republicans want anything to do with. And I do believe that the political pressure from the conservatives is going to start to mount on President Trump. As we woke up to this story and digested it overnight and woke up this morning, it's 10 o'clock Eastern time in the United States, one thing is apparent. The President is not on Twitter. He has not communicated on Twitter with the American people to defend himself, which lends many of us to believe that he knows that he is in some serious legal trouble, and he's going to have a hard time navigating through all of this.
Yeah, and what about President Putin's offer to release the transcripts of that meeting to try and make some of this go away? How's that going to go down? Will it come to that?
I don't think it's going to be very well received in Washington. I think that there are lawmakers who are completely convinced that there was meddling. They're completely convinced that there was collusion, although there's been no facts to back that up right now. But I think that there is a level of fury which is being directed towards Russia that President Putin's offer, which may be honest and honorable, may not be received very well on Capitol Hill. I would be really surprised if any lawmakers were to come out and ask for Putin's verification of the conversation. I think the president has weathered that storm. I think his next crisis, of course, is exactly why he met with Comey. Did he try to influence the investigation? The White House is saying that there's a mischaracterization of the nature of that conversation. So there's a lot to go under the bridge from here on. There's a lot to play out, a lot to unfold, and we're really at the beginning of this. And to this point, Colin, I want to point out to your viewers that so far, all of the reporting surrounding the Trump administration has been on unnamed sources and unsubstantiated sources. It's all been conjecture and reporting that has not been backed up. This is the first document that is going to be produced that's going to put the president in question. And now the political drip is probably going to start. It's going to be a real rough day and a rough few days for the president ahead.
And is this going to also cause a schism with relations with other countries? A top German intelligence official called Donald Trump a security risk to the Western world.
Well, this is going to be taken under consideration by lawmakers on Capitol Hill, that there is an issue of national security if the United States becomes isolated in the operations of intelligence work. This is something that I know lawmakers don't want anything to do with, and they are going to be assessing the damage that's been done by the alleged sharing of information. So rebuilding the confidence of allies is something that lawmakers on Capitol Hill did not anticipate they were going to have to do. But that's pretty much where we are right now. And I would believe that Germany is not going to be the only country that's going to put the United States' credibility in question when it comes to sharing intelligence.
And what about impeachment, a word that gets used every day since Donald Trump took office, with the claims that he attempted to influence this FBI probe? Will this be the straw that could break the camel's back and that impeachment could be on the cards?
Well, this is a road that the camel's going to have a hard time traveling, that is for sure. This changes the dynamic of the entire scope of the Trump administration. Impeachment is a political process which is spearheaded by illegal activity. And if the president, it is determined that he did obstruct the investigation and there was an effort to obstruct justice, this could lead to impeachment. This is no longer political talk. This is now legal speak. And this is a legal arena that the president's going to have to work through. And I think that he's short on good advice right now.
Yeah, and what's all this doing to the business of government? If so many people in Trump's administration is dealing with scandals, claims, accusations, what about the day-to-day job of running the country?
You know, that is a big question the American people are asking themselves. All business in Washington has stopped. There is no domestic agenda right now. And this comes at a very tough time for the president, and it puts the American people in an untenable position. The president's on the verge of doing his first international trip with some very serious meetings coming up with the Saudis and also Israel, and dealing with the situation in Syria. And on the heels of his meeting with Mr. Erdogan yesterday, this is a very serious time for the United States and foreign relations. And I do want to offer this insight, Colin. I thought yesterday when the president met the media with the president from Turkey, Erdogan, and he was making a statement, it seemed to me that the president was terribly disfocused. It seemed to me that the president's mind was in a different world. He was almost having a hard time speaking. He was reading like a third grader. And he was very deliberate, unsure of himself, which was very unusual for this president. I think the president is terribly troubled by all of this.
And that is a worry. Ed Schultz in Washington, good to see you again. Thanks for sharing your insight on that.